Hi guys. Alright, so third use case. So let's say this is the naming standardization. So if this is the naming standardization, this is how it could be leveraged. This is how I have leveraged in the past, and then you let me know what your thoughts are. So we have a somewhat of a top-down view of standards, right? Standards could be customers, could be vendors, could be products, or whatever whatever the standards may be. We have done some level of DS&I work, right? So DS&I work where we sourced and sampled let's just say 50 plus files. All right. So with this, as we are doing this, we're going to go back into the top-down view and we will enrich the standards, because we will learn, we will understand there are some gaps, and we will continue to iterate, and or we will go through the issue management piece, right? Issue management activities, and we will address some of the issues. So that's the link. That's almost like a loop between the top-down view of standards and the DS&I. Now at some point we will get to a activity where we're basically saying, okay, this is what it is. We're not publishing our standards till the standardization on the naming convention has been done based on downstream application usage. So at least what the way we came across at GM was that we had 5 different applications that were going to consume the standards. So let's say we have Oracle in the mix, Oracle ERP in the mix. We may have SAP ERP in the mix. We may have TM1, similar case to McKesson. We may have HFM. We may have planning. We may have Essbase, and then we may have data warehouse and data marts and all the different BI applications, right? So let's just say if this is the downstream application mix that we have, that's what drove us to come up with naming standardization. I don't think it was anything else. It just basically was how are all these different applications with very specific needs around naming standardization will all handle this data. All right. So this is basically what the data naming standardization as a service could help us. These are the restrictions. So we came up with character restrictions, and these are across all different applications, right? So this is basically going to rely on what is your downstream application mix, and then uppercase, lowercase, ampersand, @ sign, backslash, brackets, commas, equal to. If you see something equal to, we need to kind of change this to equal to, greater to, less than, right? Anything and everything, permutation, combinations, we could basically handle this. Update transformation was, a simple example is that we came up with GM was that Korea, Republic of, it should have been always Republic of Korea. Greater Chicago, we had Chicago dot greater, whatever the transformation we need to apply. Keywords were the reserved keywords by application. So assign you cannot use, average you cannot use, calc you cannot use, right? So all these, after looking at all the documentation, mul is not we can't allow that, month we can't allow that, so on and so forth. Now again, the standardization list came because of this. In some cases it may be different. So once we have defined this, then we go into the CDEs. Which CDEs? This is the same CDEs that we have loaded up when we had gone into the data quality and profiling, right? If this is the activity, then if I go into my load standards, this is the same CDEs. So customer name, we have customer name. Customer name small, we have it. Invoice add location, right? So all this. So there's a direct connection between this. So now if we are in the standardization, then we have the ability to turn on and off any one of these activities by CDE. And once we have done that, all we do is we basically go in and run it, and it takes almost less than a second or two for small files. Large files I'm still working through. Tracking numbers, let's say tracking numbers, if I run it small, it's a quick run. Let's say if we have product, not products, customer name. So let's run customer name. I'm going to turn on all of these just so that you guys could see that. Now this is what the customer name was originally. Now restrictions, these are the restrictions. We have applied the restrictions, and this is what the customer name looks like. After transformation, this is what the customer name looks like. And this is actually a better example. This is a better example. So Zoe Sanders. Restrictions, we set uppercase, it made it uppercase. Zoe Sanders. Now transformation, after keyword, this is what it looks like. And if we apply all of these cumulatively, restrictions and transformation and keyword, then this is what the final picture would look like, Zoe Sanders. This is another one where I had a apostrophe in there. I'm sure there's lots of different examples that we have that we can test even more. ZZZ test. Now, one good thing about this one that we tested was that what's going to happen when standards actually get updated. Right, so if a standard, if there's a new row that if I go back to my data quality and profiling engine, and I upload a new version of the standard, then here I should see a new record that's going to basically just have the local data, right? The original copy. It's not going to have restriction, transformation, keyword, final, or mapping. The parent is the last activity. The mapping, that's a different module. So this is how we leverage the what do you call the naming standardization. I'm sure there's a better way for us to use it, but that's how we're leveraging it. Now, if this is where we are, then the last module is the mapping. Mapping does nothing more than it gives us the same copy of the same standard, right? If I go back to data quality and profiling, if this is where we started, you're going to see the same exact standards here in the mapping module. And only thing that we can do, or easily what we can do is, let's say tracking number small, we can have tracking numbers. If I go into customer name small, this is what it is. And let's say if I want to map, mapping is real simple, right? These are the groups and these are the values that have been mapped already, right? And then there's no available value. So let's say if I basically remove from this group, so I have these are the values that I need to add, and I will basically say Jim Matt group. If I'm able to add this now, Jim and Matt group, there's no values here, and I can easily add them in here. Another thing is, which is pretty good, is I can search it, right? I can easily, let's say Jim, the work that we did at Kraft Foods, where we kind of created a mapping application. This is the reason why I thought that maybe mapping could be needed. We can easily search this. All the features of the complexity of the mapping application is already here, right? We could have done this at Kraft without too many issues. So we basically add that to the group, we close it, and at this point we have customer name small, it's mapped, and then we have the groups that you were so there are some values that you see, Jim and Matt group. It's already there. So that's the last piece, and how this is somewhat connected. It could be better. The sequence is what I have come up with. I'm sure there's a better sequence that we can come up with, but hey, just an example. And I know I need to fix the verbiage here. All right, thanks.